Welcome to the Lost. Welcome to the Leftover Rewatch. It's been one of those days. Welcome to the Leftover Rewatch. We had episode 7 of season 1, and I'm just going to say it again. I say this every week. I forgot how good this episode was.
They're all good.
I know, but it just you forget that how good season 1 was. And it's, again, I'm saying this to anybody who's listening. If you're watching this, you probably are a Leftovers fan. But anyone that gave up on it, you blew it.
Well, I mean, it's funny that you slipped up with Lost, because this episode, which, you know, a lot of it focuses around one object,
right?
Which Ethan's holding. When we all first watched it, and you guys were talking about it, we might as well get this out of the way. I mean, you guys were really focusing on like the coordinates of Cairo, right?
Yeah.
And that's why it had almost like a lost feeling to it. And now the way that we watch these episodes is we don't just think about the series in its entirety, but we probably think about it realistically about what Lindelof was thinking, having, you know, produced one full season, right?
Right.
So, and that's the perspective that we have now as well. So originally, you know, this was kind of a lost episode. It's like, why are they looking for this, you know, this National Geographic magazine while we're going to be focusing on other things today.
Yeah, I didn't even pay attention to the National Geographic.
Yeah.
This time around, I was like, okay, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I did.
Well, I knew someone would, and I figured it was you.
Yeah.
That would have been my guess. I would have put money on it.
It was not $200 either.
I'm just thinking, how fast? I mean, did she have it overnighted? I mean, she ordered the National Geographic, and boom, it's there. But anyway.
that's why it was $200. It was $150 for shipping.
Well, I believe that. But anyway, a really good episode, and I like the fact. Well, we see Lori and the other GRs are ripping down the posters that say "Save Gladys," and we don't know at this point. We don't know who's doing it, right?
Putting the posters up?
Yeah, we assume who it is.
Yeah.
We assume Matt, but I wouldn't put it past the GR doing it themselves and then taking it down themselves.
Yeah.
But we find out this episode it is Matt. So
right.
Well, yeah, but at first, like, you know, first watch, you're wondering because they're so, you know, about
the GR are sneaky.
Yeah.
And then we see Jill sees Lori sees Jill, and Aimee says F her.
Mm-hmm.
So it's another F you, Lori, basically.
Yeah.
I mean, you see the sadness in Jill's eyes, right? It's just, there's my mom, but I can't talk to her because, well, she cares more about ripping down these Gladys posters. Mother of the year.
It's pretty uncomfortable.
Yeah. Again, anyway, it is what it is. And then we go to a scene where they're in one of the twins, Scotty, is in a refrigerator trying to break the record, and he only made it 28 minutes. That's probably better than I could do. First, I'm going to tell you, I did a lot of stupid things, but I probably wouldn't have locked myself in a refrigerator to break some stupid record.
At least they got to talk, right?
True, but it's just not my thing. It's not my deal. It's just like, learned at a young age, don't lock yourself in a refrigerator, you die.
Unless, of course, you're in Indiana Jones Part 4, then it works.
Or did you ever see the movie Breaking Away?
Oh, yeah. I've seen it many times.
Okay, where, what's his name? One of the cutters, what's his name? Famous actor, Quaid. He goes down, he jumps in the water, he goes in there, he goes, hey, he's not coming. They all jump in there, but there's no back on the refrigerator. So if you have something like that, if you haven't seen that Breaking Away, fantastic movie, highly recommend.
Highly recommend, yes.
Jill goes in. Jill's going in, and then she gets a text from her dad, hey, I'm not going to be home tonight.
Because I'm going to be cleaning gutters over in North.
Cleaning the gutters, yeah. And she invites Kevin over, and Kevin's like, "Are you sure? Are you sure? Because they've been on 4 dates." And Nora says,
"A lunch date."
Yeah, this is the time. It's time to go. Then Jill breaks the record. She breaks the record, and dumbass breaks the handle. So now Jill is stuck in the refrigerator.
By the way, that character's name is Jay. Right?
Jay, is that what it is?
It's the young Jay. I mean,
The young Jay.
yeah.
But they were all trying to open it. Why wouldn't you try to open it where the handle was? Because that's where the thing that latches, right? Why are they trying to pull the top? Stupid kids.
Because you need a seasoned person like Scott Glenn to do it.
Yeah, but I did like the fact that Jill wants to live, right? Because we're not always sure she wants to live, and when she realizes she's running out of oxygen, she wants to get out of it. She doesn't want to die in that refrigerator, but she wants to live.
Mm-hmm.
At least not surrounded by those effing morons.
True.
That's a great point. But I think Aimee is kind of a voice of reason for her a little bit. I mean, F your mom. She's really blunt about how things are, kind of let it go. I know she doesn't, hang around in that many scenes, but when she does, usually when Aimee has something to say, I'm listening.
I got a theory about Aimee later on, but I'll wait till we get to that. I wrote it down, so I'll wait till I get to that. It might be something I already said before when it first came around, or maybe it was out there. I don't know. For some reason it just popped in my head. But one of the twins is peeing. Why is his pants all the way down?
So you can see his sweet, sweet butt.
I've had the opportunity to pee outside, once or twice in my life, and I've never had to pull my pants all the way down to pee.
They're special. I mean,
there's
something about those twins.
Even when I was a kid, I knew that you didn't need to do all that just to pee. And I'm looking, why has he got his pants all the way down to pee? I don't know why that. I don't know why that was an important part for me.
If we ever meet Lindelof again, that will be the first question.
This is Mimi Letter to doing this episode again. She was like, "Get those pants down."
Yeah. And I didn't know which twin it was. I couldn't figure it out. I didn't know if it was Scott or the other guy.
How do you know anyway?
Scott?
Yeah. How do you know the difference?
Well, I don't. But
we only know that they've mentioned the word Scotty so far.
Yeah. So Jill's grandpa comes and saves the day, but hey, don't tell your dad you saw me, because he's not supposed to be out.
That's right. Credits.
Right.
Boom.
And we find out Tommy is pretty sloppy when he makes soup.
I just want to shout out to my wife. We watched this. She watched this episode with me yesterday, and the two things she gave me notes for was, one, I had to pause it so at this moment she could go make soup because it made her very hungry.
That scene of that soup made her hungry?
Yeah. And the later when they're making waffles at the Garvey house, she was like, "Those are Giant Brand waffles." It's like, thanks for your input, dear.
I could see the soup looked like crap. It looked like just some kind of canned soup that he was.
Did anyone watch Barb and Star go to Vista Del Mar, the Kristen Wiig movie on Amazon?
No, I don't think so.
It looked like the hot dog soup in that. But anyway.
Oh.
Well, Jack, they're down to their last $6,000, so
that's true.
Right.
Soon to be $3,000.
Right.
Probably cocaine.
Christine is not doing well. And then Wayne calls Tom, but doesn't realize he's not sure who he's called yet, right?
Yeah, he's totally out of it.
Yeah. Now, does Wayne not getting the money? I mean,
you asked this the first time around.
Did I? Okay, because why would he ask Tom if he's making $1,000? How much did he make off Nora?
Yeah, I mean it's when we first see Wayne, he's got a pretty complex operation and a business manager.
Right.
That woman in the suit, right?
Right.
And he pulls up in the car and he's got all these shrink wrapped hundreds, right?
Right.
But how much time has passed since then, and he's been on the run?
I get that, but they were making money in New York or wherever. Was it Philadelphia?
In New York, but the thing is, he's already at that point in time. You don't see the business manager. There's a good chance the business manager left with the money, right?
That could be it.
I mean, it's the fact is that we know that he's already being hunted down.
Right.
So,
well, I know he's not living well. I mean, he's not, living in a, 5-star hotel or anything like that. It just seems to me that I just wondered, those guys, the bald-headed old guy and the other people, are they keeping him? Are they holding him hostage where he makes money they make money off him.
I mean, it feels almost like that's just a network of grifters, right?
Right.
And, it's kind of part of doing business in this network like that is that they tend to start screwing each other over.
Right, exactly.
So it's not too far-fetched to assume that a guy who was, at the beginning of the season selling hugs to, the senator of Texas is now fallen on really hard times.
Yeah, it's true.
And, and he's juggling around money from, they ask later how many of these couples there are.
Right.
And Tommy said it doesn't matter. It doesn't, but he's shifting, money between them.
Right.
I'm sure this is not the first time this has had to happen.
Yeah, and then Wayne wants Tommy to he asked him how much he has left, about $6,000. Take half of it, put it in an envelope, and tape it under the mailbox. So $3,000. And Tommy goes, all right, I'll do it.
And he's got everybody in Gary, Indiana, it seems like.
Yeah, that was the interesting thing to me. Like, I mean, that obviously it's unexplained, and it's probably a plot point to basically create the disillusionment factor at the end of the episode.
Mm-hmm.
But I like the fact that they're all in the same place.
Then we go to back to Nora and Kevin, and they drive up to the house, and there's Meg and another GR out front of their house. Now the house across the street is boarded up. It's for sale and has 378 spray painted on it. And it says what I think it said where on it. So 378 where. It's for sale. Why is it? Did we ever figure out what the deal was with that house?
I assumed it was
where they're at.
I assume 378 is the address, and the where is there was a person living there that departed, but just an assumption.
Probably a code they use to identify.
But to me, I just love these little tidbits of just like what we've been saying all the episodes about just the oddity that accompanies a massive unexplained event.
Mm-hmm.
The things you wouldn't think about.
Yeah.
Right. I do like that Kevin's trying to reason with them, and Nora just gets the hose and sprays him with the hose. I love that. That was a great scene, and Nora's just like, that's just, you have to do it sometimes.
Yeah.
She literally threw cold water on their sexy time date, though.
Yeah, it did, because they kind of, as Nora goes, we kind of lost the mood, right?
Yeah, after they were like, oh, hey, remember when your family disappeared? Yeah, remember when your wife
Yeah. Yeah.
The GR was kind of effective.
Yeah. We need to learn how to talk to each other. And I mean,
Yes.
I that has to be hard, because they both have, things that are depressing. I mean, obviously Nora losing her whole family, Kevin losing his wife, and his wife just saying, I'd rather hang out with these people, the GRs, than you. So It is a touchy subject.
It's different traumas to process, and they're both kind of figuring out their own language and how to use that to communicate with other people. Look at Kevin with his daughter, and then you have Nora with her brother and everybody else, basically. But yeah, to see them come together and, admit that we don't know how to do this right now, or anymore, is a great moment, I think.
Yeah.
I guess we've, like you said, we've touched on before too, is that this is going to just keep happening, no matter what, because so many people are affected by the departure. Jill asks Kevin, what did Grandpa do? Jill tells Kevin that his dad is on the loose. And we find out he burned down the library because they didn't have that National Geographic he wanted.
Oh no, he burned down the previous library.
Yeah. Well, that's why he's locked up. That was the deal, because he burned down the library. I mean, did we ever find out why he burned down the library? Do we know?
No, I don't think so. I just know that the dance was a fundraiser for the new library.
Right.
He's listening to the voices in his head, and as we spoke about, last time, the great quote about listening to voices in your head and things.
Going back to the dance, the fundraiser, remember how Kevin wasn't really, when he went up there, the people were kind of ignoring him and just didn't really pay attention when he was making his speech. Well, now it makes sense. His dad's the one that that burned down the library.
Right.
Because it never really made sense before. Why they turned off to Kevin? I mean, it doesn't make. Now it makes perfect sense that they're guilt by association, right?
Yeah, and by that time, the whole town already knows that he's going around shooting dogs.
Yeah, that's true.
And he's soon to be accosting the local business.
And dogs read, right? So they. And then Kevin goes to the mayor's house looking for his dad, and literally he knocks on the door, and the mayor there. I mean, I don't know about you. Well, I don't have his phone unless I know who it is because I have a little camera. But I always bugs me on TV when someone goes and they open the door right away. There should be like at least 10, 15 seconds.
Well, she probably started to hear like cops coming around the door. She probably heard.
All right, I'll give you that one.
Well, she probably knew what was going on, right? Or
no, she didn't know he was out or escaped or anything.
No, because she hadn't seen him in a month.
Right, yeah. That's right.
By the way, Jack, in the original viewing, you assumed that her reaction to Kevin's question, if he can come in and search, was that there was someone else there with the mayor.
Well, that makes sense.
But
again, if there's someone there with the mayor, why was she so quick to open up the door?
Oh, exactly. I mean, that's what makes this each viewing unique, right? You can find a different mini crackpot theory each time, right?
Exactly, because it just bugged me. I'm just gonna say it.
She kind of seemed upset to be alone. Maybe she kind of seemed upset. So it makes me wonder if we're spitballing here, if. She was with Kevin Sr. and, now they're not together anymore because she said he talks too much or whatever. Yeah. But it makes me wonder if maybe we don't know her story with the departure or anything. And if she's quick to answer the door, maybe she's like, oh, somebody's at the door. I don't have to be alone anymore, because once again, we don't know how people are reacting. And she's a character, we don't know her story, so it literally could be anything.
I never thought about that. That's
I think the probably most important information about the scene is that when she says he's not coming to me, Kevin, he's coming to you.
Right.
Is that evidently? I think we're supposed to glean from that he was talking to her about how important he thinks Kevin is. Right.
Right.
Totally. Yeah.
And how that even in his state of delusion, his son is probably the most important thing to him in his life. So,
yeah.
Yep.
Good.
And she said it so matter of factly, like it's just a plain fact. He's not coming here. He's coming to find you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think it's also important because this might also help explain. And I think is this the last interaction with the mayor in season 1?
No.
No. Okay. Well, up until now, we've always wondered why, she's kind of bitter towards him, has kind of always cops an attitude towards Kevin. And it's obviously some form of jealousy in the sense that even after Garvey Sr. went nuts, he still has this strong affection for his son.
That's why she goes out of her way to back him up on things too.
So and that's why that whole relationship is so complex.
Well, also Kevin Jr. He's almost the same way because when last week when he told Nora, "Well, I have a daughter," and she goes, "F your daughter," he kind of looked like, "No, that's my daughter," and he's still trying to get a hold of Tommy, who, he just wants to find out, are you all right? He cares about him. So as crazy as this family is, they do they do care about each other.
Yeah,
except Lori. Doesn't care about anybody but herself. So we got Kevin goes back to this house. He puts his gun on the table. And then also we have one of those Kevin moments where he hears something. It was a dog or something scratching.
I don't know if he starts to hear it before or after he does one of these.
Yeah.
Definitely nods out.
So then he sees dog killer. Dog killer goes, I have him trapped. He's trapped in a mailbox, which is I don't know if they're trying to make a joke there because dogs don't like mailmen or mail carriers, right? So Was that an inside joke where, okay, we got a dog inside a mailbox?
It's just incredibly unsettling. That's what it is.
Yeah.
Well, it's at this point we really need to start tracking what's happening with Tommy and what's happening with Kevin, because there are so many things. There's like a parallel story going on here,
Right.
and they both have to do with mailboxes, and they both have to do with wounds on their hands.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, he sees dead GRs and one's Lori. Bullet to the head, right?
Yep.
Kevin wakes up with a bandage on his hand. It looks like a human bite, doesn't it? To me, it looked like a human bite. I thought it was a human bite.
It could have been a human. It did look like a human bite, didn't it? I think it was meant to be a dog bite.
But dog bite would be, especially if it was a dog he had tied up, right? Because we see the dog tied. Dogs have a wide reach. I mean, they got a big.
Yeah, and they're fangs.
Yeah, so it looked like a human bite to me.
Yeah.
Again, I could be wrong. It's happened before.
But it is also to point out, you guys, did you guys hear the scanner when he got up?
Cairo.
Yeah.
Cairo on the scanner.
Yeah, which meant nothing.
I didn't hear it. I just read it in the script.
No, I mean, I heard it and I read it on the subtitles and the script. And this is really the episode where it's like Lindelof basically takes over. The push and pull of him and Perota. Perota likes to keep things grounded. Damon Lindelof likes to take things in this, direction, this losty direction. And this is literally like a lost episode with how much kitchen, like everything they're throwing in, especially in this episode.
Randy says mailbox equals fridge, which makes sense. And then Laura says the focus on the mailbox in this episode was interesting. Not sure what it meant because they deliver this episode, right?
I mean, dog in the mailbox is almost kind of like snake in the mailbox, right?
Exactly. But, I think it's a lot easier to get a snake in a mailbox than it would be a dog. I mean, you could put a little dog in a mailbox, but you couldn't get there's no way. How do you get a big dog in a mailbox?
Well, you from the back, right?
Well, you'd have to have a key, I guess, right?
Unless it doesn't have a back, like the fridge and breaking away.
All right, let's keep going.
Yeah.
Aimee was up when Kevin brought the dog back, and Jill's looking at her like what? Yeah, she was up, and so there you go. Kevin gets a call, and Kevin's dad beat up Dennis.
He always liked him, though.
Yeah. Because why'd you go in? Well, he said he liked me. And he messed up the library. At least he didn't burn it down. Can you imagine if he burned it down again? How pissed the people would be. All right, we're done with your dad, Kevin. We're done. We can only have so many dances.
This guy was so annoyed that Kevin knew Spanish. He did not want to talk to him at all.
Yeah, it was a great scene.
Yeah. Fantastic scene. We go back to Tommy. Tommy gets the cash. He tapes it to under the mailbox. He looks like he's going to drive away. He goes, "No, I'm staying here. I'm going to see who shows up," which is smart. I thought it was pretty smart.
And Christine's not having any kind of boring time at all.
No.
The worst day of her life right now, and we don't see it.
She feels like crap, but Tommy was more focused on the money. I get your point. Yeah.
Yep.
Well, at this point, Tommy's done a lot, right?
Yeah. And I don't think he's so much focused on money as he is like, what the hell's going on with Wayne? Like, it's been 2 months we haven't heard. Let's figure this out.
Yeah.
He really cares about Christine.
He does. All right.
Kevin Sr., we see him. He's fighting with the dog that Kevin Jr. tied up in the backyard. He's got the trash can out. The dog is pulling on his shirt. Jill hears it and goes, "Huh." It's my grandpa again. They talk. I thought it was a good scene because he goes when she opens up the refrigerator, he says, "Try not to lock yourself in," or something like that. I thought it was pretty funny scene. Kevin comes home, and he goes, when he hears Kevin, Grandpa goes, "You called him, didn't you?" He goes, "Yeah, before I let you in." He goes, "Oh, good girl."
Very great interaction with those two the whole time.
Yeah, it was a great scene. The whole scene was great. It was like, because you have Jill, who's downer Jill, but she loves her grandpa. I mean,
And he loves her too, and he's trying to like keep her away from whatever it is or protect her a little bit and answer the question straightforward, but then like when it gets too deep, say stuff like "You look like Snow White," you know?
Right. It might explain why she didn't want to use the Christmas ornaments. Like if Grandpa can't be here to enjoy them, I don't want to use them. Is that a reach?
No.
Because those are Grandpa. I mean, obviously she has a close relationship with her grandpa.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I mean, she obviously knows why he's in the hospital.
Yeah.
And assumes that he's mentally ill, but she does anything but judge him.
Right.
She's just incredibly empathetic towards him.
Yeah. It's her grandpa. You know, come on. And then Kevin throws the handcuffs to Kevin Sr. He puts them on.
Why do we think he said "good girl"?
Because she was smart. It was a smart thing to do. Was to call it before he let her into the house. He called. She called her dad. I mean, it was.
Yeah.
I think that's what I got from it. That it was a smart thing to do. That maybe that's how he had, being a cop. He said, okay, to protect yourself, this is what you, maybe over time, maybe she just paid attention. So.
It just seems like there's the implication there that he understands that he's, mentally ill and can be dangerous, burning down the library and things. And that if he's aware of that enough to be like, good job, thank you for calling another adult when you saw me. If he's that aware, why did he break out? Like, shouldn't he know that he needs to be there? You can't have both.
But something's telling him to do this. He's talking to somebody, whether it's theory back then was he was talking to some of the departed.
It's almost like he knows he's dangerous, but like he's still going to follow the voices.
We're also assuming that he acts in a consistent manner, right?
Right.
Even if it's a twist of logic, but I think we can safely assume that his behavior can very well be erratic.
Yeah, and like I said, he doesn't want to hurt his. I mean, he beat up Dennis, who he likes, right? I mean, obviously not the same as your granddaughter, but I just think I think he was just telling you did the right thing. That was mine. It could go any way, but that's what I got at.
Right.
And he left Jill a note. How convenient. And then as they're driving, Kevin asks about Dennis. He goes, "Yeah, tell him I'm sorry. I always liked him." Dennis, I think you were pointing at Eckhart last week. He's just kind of that guy for the comic relief.
It's like I totally didn't realize it the first time we watched it, but there are scenes in like the second episode that are some of the funniest things I've ever seen on television between Dennis and Garvey Jr.
Right, it's funny. And as they're driving along, Kevin's looking, and all his dad goes, "Stop!" Wait,
before that, there's something important.
Okay.
And when he's talking to Kevin, Senior's talking to Junior about all the medicine he's taking.
Right.
Okay. Yeah. And he starts hammering home this notion of the medicine putting him to sleep. And this notion of going to sleep is kind of like a leitmotif for the whole episode, as we see in the diner scene later.
Right.
So, and I think it ties into, again, we know that Senior is erratic, but he obviously knows from his own situation that he must be taking a lot of medicines. That's suppressing part of his psychology, right?
He's taking a lot of medicine.
He's taking, and so
which can't be good.
Right. So Senior's comment towards Junior is really fatherly love. Like, you shouldn't be taking all this stuff. Like, I hate this stuff. You shouldn't take this stuff. Now, Senior isn't a doctor, right? No. We don't know enough about Kevin's situation in terms of why all that stuff was prescribed, right? So, but it starts this whole. To me, this is the main theme of the episode. It's the father, like Senior's love for his son, right?
Right.
How much he cares about him. So.
No, I agree. That I didn't write that down, but good point. I'm glad you interrupted me. Oh, and as they stop, then Kevin Sr. runs out, and then Kevin Jr. chases after him, and he knocks down Patty, which I thought I was okay with.
In this surprise protest that no one knew about, just happened to be in the middle of the street.
Just happened to be there, yeah, middle of the street, and they have signs saying "Don't save Gladys." It's like Gladys is gone. It's just, she can't be saved, can she?
No.
I mean, the interesting thing about this is that the GR in this episode is almost like a afterthought, right?
Right.
It's almost like they threw this in there just to remind us that like there is a GR.
Yeah, that they're there and they're going to do something pretty soon.
Because like most of the episode is about something totally different.
It's a real hodgepodge of an episode. There's lots of stuff in here.
Well, earlier when Kevin and Nora went to her house, she said, "I'm pretty sure they broke in and stole my photos." You know,
Right.
Yeah.
and then Kevin mentions that as well. You know, that had been happening. So it made me think, oh my God, I'm not going to be able to handle what's coming later.
Foreshadowing.
Yeah.
We go to go
You know,
ahead.
they're starting just to plant all these things, and you can only see them now after the whole season.
Yeah, of course.
You know, so
Well, I do like that we go to Jill's room and the twins are fighting.
I love that.
Yeah.
At least they had their pants on, right? So they're rolling back and forth, beating each other up, as brothers would do, siblings would do.
when you want them to have their pants off, they got their pants on. It's really
I
frustrating.
know because these guys never do what they're supposed to do,
Yeah,
right?
But
Guys
okay,
going around-
let's take a step back, okay? Because the reason why I love these twins, you know, now after in the show in its entirety, is because they are just prototypical teen dudes who have no idea what they're supposed to do. Okay, and it's even when the girls tell them are planting hints that they're doing the wrong things, where Aimee vulgarly says, "Are you watching these two bleep Garvey?" Right? Which is even telling them, "Why are you guys fighting? You should just be like paying attention to us."
Right, but they're different. Like you're saying, they're different from everybody else.
Well, they are and they aren't in the sense that, I mean, I'm going to be just grasping at straws here with this analysis, but I can just picture someone like Lindelof, who's obviously incredibly successful, who was like a high school nerd. When he reflects back to his like teenage years, like he was just like, I had no idea what I was doing, right?
Right.
It's just
I know that was me.
No, you were Mr. Popularity. I mean, you can...
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I was. There you go. Have you heard the podcast where I say I was barely ever at school?
That's how popular you were.
Yeah. I was popular because people didn't have to see me. But no, I think too. Like you're saying, the twins, because most people that watch Lost and these kind of shows were geeky, right? We're kind of right. And what do you say about the twins? They're geeks, right?
Yeah.
Well, I think it's really interesting that the twins, going back to like the very first or second episode, when Kevin had shot the dog, and one of the twins was like, "We're all going to eventually turn into the dogs. You know, it's just taking a slower time." I think it's really interesting that the twins are put in situations where, you know, ping pong, they're wrestling, you know, they're doing these really normal things that we would think of, and they both have each other though. Right. So like, I think that they're the only characters maybe that we see that know kind of each other inside and out because of the twin thing. And I think that because that never got broken, I think they're more, if you want to say normal, or they're handling things better than maybe the others. And who knows, their whole family could have departed too.
I think you're right in the sense that they're much more emotionally stable than everything else around them.
But they're like you were saying, I think you were saying they're doing things that teenage boys do. Yeah. Right. They're being, where the other kids all seem like they're just, life is over. You know, we can do whatever we want. And you brought that up. I go, how devastating would it be, especially for? I mean, it's hard enough to lose a family member for the depart. How devastating would it be to lose your twin?
I mean, Jack, how
Okay.
amazing would have it been if the final scene of the first season would have been like a second departure and one of the twins is gone?
I would have cheered. If
I mean, it's like, but then season 2 starts in Miracle, Texas, and they never explain that part.
But no, because you're like you're saying, Caleb, twins. You know, I know a few sets of twins, and they all have that special bond where they just, they know each other's thoughts and all that stuff. If you lost that, you lost that twin, that has to be devastating.
You know what's devastating, Jack, is that none of your crackpot theories was that what I just described. That would have been a great one.
It would be a fantastic one, and it's one that can't be proven wrong, right? Well, I guess we didn't see them depart, so there you go.
And what if it's Scotty or the other one?
We don't know.
Amy's also there to deliver a great line during the scene.
Which line?
I already said it. Are you watching these two something?
Wait.
Yeah, asking Jill.
Well, they come back. We leave that scene and we go to.
But wait a second. Okay, 1 second. I just wanted to point out that Aimee comes in obviously in work uniform.
Yes.
Oh.
Okay. And so I just wanted to point out in the book, she has a long conversation with Kevin about how she's done with school. She's quitting school. And like, can I still stay with you guys? Even though I'm quitting school, I'm getting a job. And that's kind of something I think in the show that happened kind of off screen. You don't see her. I don't think you see her again in school.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
And the other thing is, I mean, up until this point in time, any attentive watcher would have asked the question. We might have discussed it already, but I don't think we have. It's like, why does she live there, right? Like, there's no mention of her situation in terms of her parents. Like, if either of her parents or both her parents departed, right?
We don't know.
And it's one of these.
I do have a theory in like 3 lines.
Okay, I'll shut up now.
On why she's there. But
Okay, I'll shut up now. Let's go.
We go back to Tommy. The guy comes up and gets the cash, looks around. In fact, what bothered me about going back to Tommy and the cash, if you're trying to do something without being noticed, don't sprint across the street, run to the mailbox and tape it up. You just walk like normal, go up and act like you're tying your shoe and pop the cash under the mail. Am I right?
Yeah.
Not that I've done things like this before, but I just said it just seems the last thing on it. What's that guy? Why is he running across the street?
Tommy's on edge. That's just him right now.
And then Tommy follows him. Tommy knocks on the door, and it's another pregnant girl.
Leanne.
Yeah. So there you go. So Tommy's like, what the hell is going on here? Then we go back, and Aimee is watching Perfect Strangers, right? Because Kevin walks in.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Here's my question.
Yeah.
Is Aimee real? Does she exist?
Holy shit.
Because she always seems to say
but
the right thing. She was there with supposedly when Kevin came home. She tells Jill what Jill was probably thinking. F your mom. All the different stuff. Is she slept with the guy? Would her friend really sleep with the guy that Jill liked? All this different stuff. Is she real? Because with this family does see things that aren't there.
Right. I mean, okay. I'm going to ask you to qualify it. So you're saying she's a figment of someone's imagination, okay?
Of all of them.
So you're saying that the Jill and Kevin both imagine. I'm sorry, Jill and Kevin both imagine Aimee.
Yeah.
It's an interesting theory.
and everybody else who interacts with.
And what about the twins?
Are they interacting with her or are they interacting with Jill?
So you're saying it's more like a Fight Club type thing?
Yes. Jill is just there because she says the thing. Because you said, Caleb, she's there. She says the thing. She has no filter. She's saying things that other people won't say.
Okay, so who took the gun out of the car? Who took the
Hand cream.
hand cream something?
Maybe it was Jill.
Yeah, I mean, she's real. Come on.
I'm asking the question.
Okay, I would say this, and I'm sure Ethan's going to agree with me on this. because Ethan's cool like that. Probably Caleb agrees with it too because he's even cooler. But you could argue that like there are moments. I would say the moments where Kevin interacts with Aimee one-on-one that he might be imagining that.
I also think Aimee is aware of a lot of maybe the things Kevin does,
Absolutely.
or just his general struggles. You know, he's struggling mentally right now, and I think she's more aware of it than Jill is. And I think Aimee may be staying around not only just for Jill, but for Kevin too.
But is Jill in denial? But when she can say, okay, Aimee knows what's going on, so she can have what I'm trying to say here. Because Jill is, if you have a loved one that's going, having these different things going on, you might be in denial. But if you have someone you can bounce things off, who's not really there, Aimee.
Maybe Aimee departed and Jill is
Oh, God.
around the bend, and that's her friend.
The grandpa is talking to somebody that's not there.
Right.
Kevin sees people that are not there.
Right.
Right.
I would say
the mom left and became a GR.
Yeah.
I would go this far. The way I would rationalize it, and I love this idea, but I would make it more nuanced in the sense that there's a real Aimee, and then there's an imagined Aimee, which is almost like extension. And it especially like these scenes with Kevin and Aimee one-on-one. And it grows from the fact that early in the season, like there's that great scene in the kitchen where Jill gets upset, and then Aimee gives like Kevin a look, or Aimee says, Jill's just being Jill, right?
Yeah.
So that the fact that Aimee has this ability to explain things to Kevin then allows Kevin to explain what's happening with his alter ego to himself via the imagined Aimee.
Right.
So that it's almost like a bridge between this is a good point. I mean, we're going to talk about this next week, but how should we refer to the Kevin that we hear other people talk about that we don't actually see?
The other guy.
The other guy?
Yeah.
So I would say that, Jack, where I agree with you is that Kevin imagines an Aimee that tells him what the other guy does.
Okay, because you also had in this episode you had Jill when Kevin's talking when Jill's going out, about the dog and about the how's the hand and all this different stuff. Jill looks like she's jealous, right? She seems jealous that she has conversations.
Oh yeah.
That she has conversations with Aimee has conversations with her dad.
Absolutely.
Where Jill doesn't. I mean, she's already lost her mom, lost her brother. And now Aimee,
who's her friend, is coming in and acting all
is all buddy with her dad.
Yeah.
Even though her dad always looks at her like, I don't. You're too young, for me. But is he going okay? Again, I just throwing it out there. We'll never know. But I was watching a lot. I go.
Which Aimee said you better feed that thing.
Which Aimee said that?
Yeah.
Well,
real Aimee or the fake Aimee?
I think I don't think there's a real Aimee.
This is the fake Aimee.
Yeah.
Okay. More importantly, when we see Lindelof, what do we ask first about the dropping the pants when she's going to leak in there, or if Aimee was real?
Well, obviously, you got to ask about the pants.
I just want to say I don't agree. I think Aimee is real.
Well, we got two people. We got two people in the chat. Let's get your vote now.
Let's ask them a real question.
Or not.
Why are you here? No.
Yeah, is Aimee real or not?
That's a great. By the way, I'm impressed that you were able to think about this after. I mean, we've kind of tilled the entire soil several times here.
I think Aimee is one of the most realist characters on the show.
But she's fake.
But she's fake, dude.
But she's not. She's not fake in any way whatsoever. Oh,
thanks, Laura.
Laura, Aimee's real. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Okay, is Laura real?
I don't know.
And not to mess with rain on anyone's parade. It's AIMEE.
Yeah, I was about to say, like, yeah.
See?
All right.
No, I just this episode really was hitting us over the head. I thought with this again when you see her and and Jill's looking at her mom, and they're going back and forth. Aimee, just F her. Now, what you don't hear Jill say that, but that's probably what she was thinking, right?
You could do a Fight Club type edit of this episode where that's happening. Sure.
Yeah. So anyway, just throw it out there. I thought it was some fun.
I think Amy's there to help, and I think that Jill's about to alienate her wrongly, and I don't necessarily think Aimee crossed any lines or anything, nor did Kevin. And I think
I don't think they did that.
No.
I think it's more of here's my dad, and you're talking to him about different subjects when I should be talking to him about that.
Well, but Jill won't.
and Amy's up late at night when the other guy gets home with the dog.
Dear God. Okay, so
wait, that didn't happen? He didn't come home with the dog?
Well, I mean, I know what you're saying. I mean, that's what happened. Yeah.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean anything specific.
But Kevin doesn't even remember the conversation with Aimee
because he's a sleepwalking conversation.
Because Amy's not there, so it's like, okay.
Oh well, you're back on this. I'm
off
the Aimee is fake thing. I'm completely off that. Okay.
Let's move on.
All right, and then we find Kevin actually listened to his dad. He's dumping the meds down the toilet, but you just can't do that.
No. So yeah, obviously mental illness runs in his family. Something happened after the departure happened with his dad, and he lost it. And I don't know. And as far as we know, Kevin has been, on this medication for, as far as we know, at least 3 years after the departure.
Right.
So, and his wife was a psychiatrist. So there's also that.
Now, Kevin gives the dog a steak. Did anyone think that he
was that a spoiler?
No, it's fine. No, it doesn't matter.
Do we know that yet?
No, we did. Her and Patty talked. And stuff,
yeah.
Oh yeah. That you can infer that from that scene. I guess.
Blame Caleb if you're upset, but it wasn't me. No, but he gives the dog a steak, and I'm thinking because they just went from him dumping the medicine to did anyone think he was going to put some medicine in the steak?
Well, that's what Senior was implying, right?
Right.
Mm-hmm. Oh. And that might come back around again later.
Okay. Kevin finds a Jiffy peanut butter jar with the cash. And then Kevin goes to see Matt. Now, he seems to know Matt. I know we talked about this before. He seems to know Matt really well. Matt used to come over for barbecues. Again, how did he not know Nora?
She had her own family. Matt has his religious thing. Nora didn't go to his church. They had a big trauma happen when they were younger. Should I go on? I don't know.
I just I don't know.
I'm going to assume there's an age difference, right? Where
it's true.
Well, Nora and Matt aren't really close, and I don't think they were before the departure. Well, obviously, but I think that because of the departure, they're closer. I mean, he went and asked her for the money, and I mean,
yeah,
I don't know.
Kevin uses I forgot the caretaker's name. It was her phone, right?
Yeah, man.
And then he doesn't like what Matt is telling him, so he just smashes the phone. And her look was like,
yeah.
But we see inside. What's going on. The operation,
right
inside Matt's house. We see that guy that got his son baptized in there.
Yep.
And we get the first Garvey's phone smashing of the episode.
It was like father like son.
Yeah.
I did like that Matt had a whole brand new poster printing machine.
Mm-hmm.
That he had all that money, but I would always say, hey, how about feeding people that need food? Instead of buying a poster. That can't be cheap, and I know the supplies for like just a copier is not cheap. So can you imagine a poster printing?
Are you suggesting that there's a person claiming to be a Christian not living by Christian ideals, Jack?
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying about Matt.
In the very least, they should have bought Holy Wayne a new shirt.
It's a write-off because it's a business. He's trying to get more sheep.
It's all a write-off. It's a charity.
Yeah,
but I just
a tax ID number for sure.
I said, come on, Matt, you're losing me here. And then Tommy talks with the dude.
Please, let's talk about this for a minute.
The pregnant girl starts shooting up the place when she realizes she's not the only one, right?
Yeah, but we can't skip over this dude doing the cocaine and saying how he was not in pain anymore because Wayne.
Oh no!
It's
that's true.
Literally the best scene in the episode, I think.
I'm not in pain anymore.
Yeah, just like obviously.
Did you get a hug?
Did you get a hug, man? Wasn't it real? Isn't this real? And
he won't hug me.
Obviously, he needed that money because he spent all the money on guns and cocaine to protect this pregnant girl, and he's just like. And Tommy sees through it right away.
Yeah.
He's like, you're obviously crazy. It doesn't matter how many more of us there are. If there's more than one, it's one too many. This guy's obviously a fraud.
Right.
No, he didn't hug me. And you're fucking, pardon my language, you're a crazy guy. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And you say you're in no pain, yet, the very definition of pain is someone who's doing that
right
in the middle of the afternoon, as far as I'm concerned.
At least wait till after dinner.
At least wait till, kids are asleep.
Well, he's supposed to be taking care of, the pregnant girl with him, and Tommy's not doing drugs, trying to take care of Christine. So.
Now, is the reason she started shooting because she found out she wasn't the only one?
Yeah, she literally says that.
I'd be pissed too.
Yeah.
And they keep saying the baby's the bridge.
Yeah.
The baby's the bridge, which is great foreshadowing in Christine's world with her baby, but like the bridge to what? The afterlife, the departed, the other people,
Whatever Wayne will say it is.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
Go ahead.
But it was interesting because talking about the hug, I mean, it was a reminder that Tommy refused it.
Right.
And they didn't really unpack that more. I mean, it just came up here, but it does say something about, and Ethan, you mentioned it, the duality of this story between Garvey Jr. and Tommy in terms of like a lot of the same stuff happening to them throughout the episode. But really the fact that Tommy refused the hug probably is like the thing that shows to me like how close he is to Kevin.
Right.
In the sense of that skepticism, right?
Sure. I think he's afraid of. I think Tommy is afraid of what would happen if he takes his hug, because I think there's a part of him that doesn't want to lose some amount of the feeling he has.
Wow.
Do you know what I mean? I think a little bit there's skepticism in that it would work, or maybe that would work too well and it would shift something in fundamentally who he thinks he is.
Interesting.
Like Barbara Streisand not getting a nose job because it would mess with her head, kind of thing.
That's what she did say. That's right.
Yeah.
And she did, she used to have a great.
By the way, a perfect analogy for the show. Perfect.
Let's see. Matt brings Kevin Sr. to Kevin at the restaurant, and that's the restaurant his dad used to bring him, get a cheeseburger and shake or malt, because that's the only way to get him to go to church.
Fries.
Oh, was it fries? I don't know. There was no malt included?
No, fries and a shake, but no cheeseburger.
Was no cheeseburger?
Yeah.
So you're just getting a shake and fries?
It's just the type of guy Kevin Jr. is.
Okay, all right. They have a great talk. Then he brings out the National Geographic. He wants Kevin to take it. It's from May 1972, National Geographic. It has a bear on the cover, a dancing bear. Is that a Dharma van in the background too?
It's a Dharma van, and I think this is actually the masturbating bear from the early years of Conan O'Brien.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. Remember that?
Mm-hmm.
No? All right.
Yeah.
Moving on.
And then he tells him, I'm not crazy.
Mhm.
But then he starts talking to somebody that's not there. He tells him that he has a purpose.
Mhm.
But then Senior punches Junior.
I mean, okay, so I did write some of this down. The whistle blew 3 years ago. We're in the effing game now. You understand. So he's calling his son into service. I feel like he's, I got a lot on the magazine after. But Kevin says something really interesting. It says, you left me when I needed you.
Mhm.
Now you want to infect me with whatever you got. I don't accept your BS. I have responsibilities. I have commitments. I'm not going to leave my family.
Is he saying because Lori left him and he needed his dad?
I read an interview with Scott Glenn, or I saw an interview where he made up his own backstory for that moment because he didn't know, and it was something about when Kevin was much younger, like leaving him or
okay
for a time. But that's like the actor's backstory, so who knows?
Well, because I think you mentioned Eckhart. They seem close. I mean, it seems like there's something there, that some respect.
Well, I mean, to me, this entire scene, I was parsing all these lines, trying to make sense of it and stuff like that. But when you take many steps back and you look at it, what is the scene? This is the scene of an adult male with a senior father, and the adult male is trying to listen with as much compassion as possible to his senior father for some sort of iota of what used to be there still being there. So that when he says, you left me, it's more about the fact that he's saying then that it's the struggle that Kevin Jr. goes through seeing his father lose his mind.
Oh, okay.
And that's really what I took out of the scene, is that you could actually, it's, again, the first time we watched it, we parsed each one, all these things that he said, and it's in the game. We thought, okay, this might be something like Lost, where, he is maybe talking to the departed or something supernatural and mysterious going on. But what it really is it's just, the whole scene is about our main Kevin listening to his dad there, and almost with the same level of compassion as Jill, but not quite, hoping that there's still something of his father that he knew his entire life still there. And that's why when he says, you left me, what he's really saying is your brain, your grip on reality left.
Do you think he's also thinking, okay, this is happening to me?
On some level, he's of course afraid that that's what's happening to him. But I think in that moment, he is the saner of the two.
Yeah.
And all he's thinking about is just that. And he entertains everything that he says, maybe on some subconscious level, hoping that will bring him back to reality. But at the same time, he's just so tired of this.
And later, I think it's an important moment when it ties back to this, when Kevin finds the other magazine at home, throws it away, but the last thing you see of him is kind of go back to it.
Yeah.
Right. Well, his dad's ripping up the magazine, punches Kevin, and tells him to go back to sleep.
Yeah. And that's where I thought they did such a good job of tying in the whole thing with the sleep medication earlier.
Yeah.
That whole notion of being awake and being asleep, happens both on the metaphorical and the literal level, right?
Yeah, because his dad's telling him, you're not paying attention to what's going, the big picture. You're just sleeping. You're sleeping through life, right? Or whatever he's trying. You're not listening to me, or whatever Kevin's dad's trying to get through to him.
And I mean, there's this interesting duality here of us as we were watching this and trying to parse Senior's words for something like that gives us clues to understand Leftovers, and Kevin Jr. listening to his dad speak to see if there's any ounce of the father he grew up with still in there.
Right.
So,
but it seemed like before his dad escaped, before they ran over the G, where he stops before he runs over the GRs, there was something there. His dad was talking to him like a dad
Mhm.
would talk to his son, trying, even at that age. I mean, it was trying to give him what knowledge of what he's learned, as you go through life, you even if you don't want to, you learn things, the right and wrongs of things. Anyway, it just, I thought it was a great scene.
Yeah.
He brings his dad back to the hospital. Senior hugs Kevin and tells him, "I'm not going to let you off that easy."
Mhm.
And Matt was there the whole time. And I do like when they go outside, Matt says something to him, and then Kevin says, "F you, Matt."
Yeah.
I mean, and that's the amazing thing about the review is because we latched on to F you, Laurie.
Yeah.
But he really does tell a lot of people just
He's just like, yeah, F this, F that. We go back, and and Kevin is driving up to Nora's house. Meg and the other GR is out front, but it doesn't stop him from cleaning the gutters this time.
Oh, I finally gets
I
it done.
can't accept that terminology for this particular love scene.
Mm-hmm.
This is, God, it's not even sexy, which is really annoying because they're both sexy, good-looking people. It's
Well, I mean, cleaning gutters is never sexy.
This is
getting your hands down into the leaves, and sometimes that water is cold.
Yeah,
I don't know what you're talking about.
In the way.
I hire people for that kind of thing. I don't actually, but
Are you talking about the physical work, or
we're still talking about the gutters, right?
No, I just I think we really need to acknowledge what an emotional release this is for both of them. What a
on this
tastefully done.
On this instant, we will not say he was cleaning the gutters.
Yes, because he wasn't.
Well, because he always talked about cleaning a gutter.
Well, they just spoke about how it was very hard to talk to one another, much less have sex with someone.
Right.
So I think that they broke down some barriers.
I would agree.
And the acting is phenomenal on both their parts here.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, there's, and I think I said this before, and I might have actually stolen this from one of the interviews that I've watched, but there's a certain incredible level of honesty, right? Where he says, "I think I might be going crazy," and she responds, "Well, my friend, you've come to the right place."
Right.
In the sense that, like, it's not just that she's sympathetic; she's just like kind of, to her, it's she probably appreciates the fact that he's being so truthful about this stuff, right?
Right. Well, before that, you have Meg gives Laurie a Nora's file, and she writes, "Your ex is effing her."
So annoying.
And then, but Laurie writes back, "So." So I thought it was a great response from Laurie. It was like,
So, question: is Meg real?
I don't think Meg is real until season 2. I think that's. And then, of course, Kevin tells him he's going crazy. And then Kevin comes home and tells Jill, "I was with a friend, and I think you'd like her because she's actually real. Somebody you can actually talk to." Then we find out Jill ordered the National Geographic for her grandpa. And then we see Bloody Tommy. Wayne calls him, and he smashes the phone. So it's like father, like son.
Mm-hmm.
And we find out Christine has had the baby. She's sitting in a bathtub. "Thanks, Tommy, for helping me out." Scene.
More importantly, she mentions it's a girl.
Yeah, it's a girl.
And just Ethan, right? I'm assuming that at some point in time, Wayne said that she would carry his son, right?
Yeah. They're all boys.
So,
and they're all the bridge.
Right.
They're the bridge boys.
So I have to stop for a second because I just realized something.
Uh-oh.
And this is totally off topic. But all of your names were in Lost except mine.
No, Caleb in Lost, wasn't there?
Mm-mm.
Who was that?
Sorry, just had to point.
Who was that card?
Aaron?
Aaron?
I know Ethan. What's
No,
What?
no, hold on, I got it wrong. Ignore what I'm saying.
I was trying to think, who's Hank? Was there a Hank?
There's a Jack.
Yeah. Oh, you mean our real names?
Yeah, and Ethan. I was like,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm Tom Cruise's cousin. What's his name? William Montpiller?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
But anyway, I thought it was
Yeah.
a fantastic episode. Really enjoyed it. And I can't wait for next week.
Are we, before we get into the thing, are we doing next week or is it Mother's Day? Or are we taking Mother's Day off?
Oh, it's up to you. It's up to you guys.
I'm good to go.
That should be fine.
I didn't ask, but I should be fine.
Okay.
I will plan on it then.
Yeah. All right, we'll be here next week, guys.
Yeah. Hey, do you guys want to hear some more about this National Geographic?
Yes.
Yes, I do.
Are you going to tell us about a bridge?
No. Well, I mean, I
Bridge
had
over
very little.
troubled waters.
What? Bridge over troubled waters. When
Isn't
you're
that a song?
weary. I did want to point out that in the future, Kevin and Nora making love really turns into a distraction when they have real problems to deal with. They use sex as a way to distract from that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so let me get started here. What Damon Lindelof said about the Nat Geo, right, is very interesting. We picked that issue of National Geographic as the text that was going to have a very specific meaning for Kevin Sr. He had been told by these voices he can hear that this issue of National Geographic is important, but when he presented that text to his son, who is not hearing the voices, at least at the time that it's presented to him, that seems like the most ridiculous thing in the world. He wanted to look at it from both ways. We wanted to look at it from both ways.
Good job.
So on page 593, here we go. The caption for these people who are like in a spring is Solace for Tired Feet. That's where they get the name of the episode. That's on page 5.
You're talking about the National Geographic?
Yeah.
There's 593 pages in there?
No, that's I don't know why it does that.
Oh, they.
I think they go from earlier text.
Oh, okay, all right.
Yeah. And that's on this page. I mean, you can look all this stuff up. It's there. Let me see. On the next page, I don't know if anyone can see. You see this picture of like boots
Yeah.
surrounded by this fire. That's
okay.
the exact same configuration of Kevin's boots in
In the next episode?
in the next episode in
Yeah.
Cairo, New York.
Wow.
Even though, so this main article is about Cairo.
Okay.
One night in Cairo.
Yeah. But
I'm just
also,
making that.
Christine earlier in the episode said something about a spider that lives underwater before she passes out.
Mhm.
Yes, when she's mumbling.
Yeah.
Oh,
Huh?
wow.
Yeah.
So there really is a spider that lives underwater?
Yes.
Jack, you guys had this. Did they
Yeah.
send
Did
this to
they
you?
send these to you?
Yes, and Jay missed all this stuff.
If they did, I never saw it.
Yeah, I blame Jay.
There was stuff they sent us stuff all the time. It was actually pretty. I'm considering that Lost didn't send us anything, but we got a lot of stuff from the
I
leftovers.
can confirm that when you did the episode for this originally, that Jay mentioned that he had it.
So he must have kept it. I did not.
Yeah, and more importantly, he missed all this stuff.
Yeah.
Also,
I mean, I still have the little. It's like it's a little picture thing that they should, and we have actually taken over but it was pictures of the GR and different. They sent us a thing with different GRs smoking and different people like that. So we've actually changed it now. And we have family photos on it. But when we lose power,
reverse PR.
when we lose power, it goes back to the GR.
Oh, because it's a digital frame.
Right. So
Nice.
yeah. So it's like. Anyway, that was something cool they said.
The one thing that somebody mentioned about in the original podcast, I'm not sure if it's in the National Geographic issue, but they had some sort of coordinates, and they followed those coordinates, and the coordinates led to a certain bridge called the October 6th bridge in Cairo. So that was like another tie-in to the whole talk about the bridge. So,
But eventually we don't have any. There's nothing.
No,
to it, right?
it's
no, this is all like Lost. Follow the stuff,
and and that's what's interesting about it is it's like I mean, look, it was useful. Like they just Christine rambling about the spider that lives under the water. I mean, they probably just leafed through it and picked up random stuff to include into the episode, right? As I don't know, just like decoys, right?
But stuff comes up again through the leftovers. There's an article about the riddle of the Minions, who is not the Minions, but it's a civilization that disappeared.
Minoans,
right?
Yeah.
Also,
Moops.
on page
the Seinfeld episode.
on page 714, there's like a guy painting two caribous on the wall,
Oh,
and that's literally an image in the next episode in the cabin.
right.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's great that you're pointing these things out and even though it's spoilery for next week, because as you say these things, I'm remembering 2 weeks ago when I watched the next episode and just the camera, just pausing on these things, right?
Yeah.
And, kind of like telling us there's something important there, but not giving us any inclination as to why. And evidently, there was some effort put into it, but there's no follow through, which makes it even better.
Well, yeah, and a couple other things show up in season 2, actually.
Do you think that you go ahead?
And just my favorite thing, and the last thing about it is Damon Lindelof always said that this is a foreshadowing of Miracle National Park, Yellowstone.
Do you think that they were trying to do it just to draw some Lost fans back? Because how it might be.
I think that there's a certain way he writes, and he can't get away from doing stuff like that because he loves to do stuff like that.
Right.
That's what I think.
All right.
Yeah.
But it definitely got the Lost fans, hooked on it, and they were talking about it as much as I am here, even though it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Nothing to do with anything.
I'm going to back Ethan up, and I'm going to tie it into something I know a little bit more intimately about, which is that there's a notion that we think about television film, obviously, as something that's moving and there's a plot, right? Moving pictures. But there's an aspect of it which is almost like art in terms of paintings, right? Where you can, even if the scene is moving, it can almost be like a picture, and almost like a picture that is shoved into the middle of something that happens before and something that happens afterwards.
Right.
So that, to me, even before you mentioned to me the thing about the configuration of the shoes at the camp scene, those 3 seconds that are focused on that, I almost view that as Lindelof painting a picture of something. And he doesn't necessarily even tell us what it is of. It could just be expressing a feeling or some sort of something in the subconsciousness or memory. In this case, obviously, it's an homage to the National Geographic magazine. But, it's whenever I see something in Leftovers that by the time the season is over, it's not fully explained, I just envision it as Lindelof painting a picture of something. Right?
All right.
You guys saw the picture I posted of me with the cork board.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Which,
Always Sunny.
yeah, the Always Sunny thing. And all that stuff that's on that board is only up till this episode.
Yep.
Do you know what I mean? And so, the National Geographic being the main, there's so much on there. Being the only thing that turns into anything is the Perfect Strangers picture of the guys.
Right.
Later on. So it's just so interesting how we're 7 episodes in, and there's all this stuff that's really just kind of window dressing to get you, what we like to call the nut meat of stuff, which starts to come next week. You know what I mean? In my humble
I know what you mean. Another thing about it, going back to Aimee, would Aimee really be watching Perfect Strangers?
It's timeless.
That's your best argument, yes.
You could. It's a good point because the other time that they showed Perfect Strangers was when his dad was watching.
Right.
So they're totally
I was young when that show was out. I mean, not young, but I was younger.
Well, hold on, I take that back because of what happened.
Yeah, it becomes like a revival.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
people want to watch it to see them again and
All right.
see the characters interact or whatever.
I don't think
Perhaps.
they care that much about it, but it's almost like an homage, right?
Oh, well,
Yeah.
yeah, but it's just like, hey, here's people that we can see again, even though they're dead. You know, it's
Interesting.
kind of like pulling out your favorite movie when a famous actor or actress dies. You know what I mean? It would be something similar, except on a greater scale, probably.
All right. Okay.
Did
You can-
Lindelof ever explain why he picked Perfect Strangers?
Maybe he was a fan of it,
That's what I'm trying to figure out. Like,
Well, that's
or
the thing.
just the name itself, Perfect Strangers.
I think sometimes he does, but sometimes he just throws things in there, and then later on he'll go back and say, "Let's do the Perfect Strangers thing again because that can get interesting." Yeah.
so,
But
I
I
mean, look,
think the next 2 episodes of this, or the rest of the season and moving forward, I think it's full steam ahead, kind of.
Yeah.
I mean, it's again, I might have been reading too much into that diner scene, but to me, like that almost is like its own painting in the sense that, like, if The Leftovers had ended after one season, and we had never gone to Australia, I would have taken away like what I said about that scene about his father, in the sense that how an adult male deals with losing their senior parent
Right.
to mental illness, and Alzheimer's and stuff like that.
Yep.
And it's a really good comparison because, you can look at these things different now because
Mhm.
it's literally like Damon said and you said, it's like either the ravings of a complete madman or,
Is he right?
or is he right? And they, later on they give you they show you a good argument from his point of view why he might be right.
Well, because like you said, he could have been talking to the party, but they don't say that because they said they were never going to explain why they departed, right? So
And they never did.
And so you couldn't have him say, "I'm talking to people, that have departed."
Right.
Right.
I think he's probably just talking to the whispers.
Yeah, I mean, I was about to say it kind of has that, and that's what I mean. Everyone assumed, oh, this is just like the whispers, right?
At least Michael has someone to talk to now. Because in their scene where Kevin Sr. goes, "Why did you shoot Libby?"
It was an accident. It was a mistake.
Why do you hate blankets? Anyway, anything else, guys?
No, I mean, I was thinking about. I mean, this happens a lot as we discuss Leftovers now every week, but I can't help but think, Jack, about how much more cerebral and deeper this is than that third season of Westworld that we did together.
I watched the first 2 episodes because I was feeling like, oh, Westworld, it was this time this
I
year.
haven't, so don't.
This is not a spoiler. It's
You haven't seen season 3, or you haven't watched any episodes yet?
I haven't seen season 3 yet.
It's not a spoiler. It just felt so long because the year was so long.
It's been out for a while.
The pandemic election year was so long that I was like, oh my God, it's been a year since we were doing that. And I started to watch the first episode or two and I was just like, wow, I'm not enjoying this like I was when I had to talk about it for an hour afterward.
Well, I just felt that way from the trailers, and it was like a whole new setting, and I'm like, I don't want to do that. Like, what you were doing work.
It's kind of like
too quickly.
There were some really good episodes, I thought.
I'm still invested in Maeve, so hope she's good. But yeah, we'll get back to that character.
She's fine, darling.
I enjoy.
She keeps dying over and over in season 1 and 2, and they bring her back. So hopefully, I don't like the face
stuff in there, but it's hard.
It's in a tough spot because like it tries to deal with really complex issues, right? But it also really has this real strong smell of heroes to it.
Yeah, I mean, I think it might have been better. I mean, I'll still watch it. I still enjoy it. Obviously, season 1 is amazing. I thought the music and just the whole story and what we were trying to guess at, and not, but the season 2 and then season 3 is like. But I'll watch season 4 and I'll even talk about it. I mean, I don't care.
It's kind of like we're so spoiled in terms of we can pick and choose what we want to watch.
Right.
And just quit it after 2 episodes. And it's kind of like, I hate to say it, but among the shows that we've discussed here, on camera and also made references to, it's probably one of the weakest. So it's just like marginally watchable compared to,
Season
obviously.
3.
Everything past season 1. I mean, when you compare it to like, what are the things that we like to watch here? We obviously like to watch anything Lindelof. We like to watch The Wire. We like to watch Sopranos. We like to watch The Expanse. We like to watch Deadwood. We like to watch Justified. I mean, it's like Westworld barely squeaks in.
Yeah, because I haven't seen any of the episodes since I first watched them. Because I go, yeah, I'd like to go back, but do I really want to sit through season 2 and 3 again? Even though there was season 2 had about 3 really good episodes. I mean, really, but a lot of it didn't make sense. Either.
Yeah, what's amazing about it was it's kind of one of these things where they had the budget and they actually had a clever idea in terms of shooting the whole thing out of sync, right?
Yeah.
But they somehow couldn't make it work. Like there was something with like, it's like they had all the parts, but they just didn't know how to glue it together.
Caleb's like going, do I need to watch it now?
It's short. It's eight episodes.
Yeah.
And I want to say, like, for anyone out there, or anyone, you guys too, like, I'm having a real like golden age of television, like, couple weeks now because I'm watching Mayor of Easttown, which is that Kate Winslet show on HBO, which is really good so far.
Is it good?
Yeah, it is good. And as soon as the credits went up on the first episode, I saw Craig Zobel's name, and he's the guy who directed International Assassin.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. I was like, okay, cool. And then I'm almost through all of For All Mankind on Apple Plus.
Okay.
Like, I gotta go back. I gotta go back and watch that.
I think it's a slow start. I think it gets really good. And
most importantly, how's Mosquito Coast?
I watched the first episode. I really liked it.
What's it called?
Which one?
Well, that's with Thoreau, right?
Yeah,
the last one you mentioned.
Mosquito
For All
Coast.
Mankind.
For All Mankind, and
Oh.
it's a
Apple.
It's an Apple, but it's a space race, alternate history space race between the United States and Russia.
Like I said, I watched the first episode. I liked it.
Yeah,
but then it was something my wife didn't want to watch, and so we started watching something else, and never got back to it. But my problem is because I was just on this guy's podcast YouTube channel called Retro Serial, and I said, what I like to do is I watch shows that I know I already like.
Yeah.
Like I'll watch MASH again, or I'm watching The Office currently, or I start. I'm gonna watch BSG.
Yeah.
It's on the Peacock network. So I start watching BSG again. And
how's it holding up?
It's really when they got to the Pegasus part again, I'm like going, oh my God, this is because it's so much different. Because the Pegasus does come into play in the original Battlestar Galactica. What's his name? Not Jeff Bridges. Lloyd Bridges plays Commander Kane, but in the series BSG, it's played by
Michelle. What's her name?
Yeah,
Ensign Rowe.
Yeah, and so it's so different and so much more intense.
There was I'll tell you this, Jack. When I was watching the original BSG, and this is like pre-Facebook, pre-Twitter, right?
The original we didn't call it BSG. We just called it Battle.
No, I meant when BSG came out in sci-fi.
Okay.
Okay, not the original BSG. Okay, sorry. When I watched BSG the first time, so again before Twitter, before Facebook, and there were message boards, right? So, and this was midway through the season, and what was Grace Kim's character's name again?
Grace
the silent Boomer, yeah.
Boomer.
Somebody asked, "Is Boomer guilty of anything?" Right? And the first response is somebody wrote, "Yes, she's guilty of being a sexy, sexy beast." And it was just, to me, it was literally a sign of things that were to come in the age of social media, because everyone on there was discussing it really seriously, but the best comments were, of course, the shtick, right?
Well, the thing that kills me about it's making political statements the whole time. It's like, because you always have the Cylons are always like, man is bad, man is this, man is this. They have no morals or anything like that. Even Boomer gets upset when she finds the second Boomer
I haven't seen it.
Oh, you haven't seen it? Oh, okay. Well, they get upset when someone gets shot.
Mhm.
Like, they didn't give her a trial. Look, you tried to obliterate the whole human race. Who are you to be saying anything? So it just, if you haven't seen it, Caleb,
I think you would like it. I think you would really like it.
I think you'd love it, to be honest.
Caleb, I always thought about The Expanse almost as like the successor series to Battlestar.
Oh,
Yeah, it's that
It is so good.
grittiness.
Yeah.
And like it's basically talking about what was going on in the world between 2000. When did it start? At 5 or 6 to whenever. I mean, it does really.
There's some social commentary about during the post 9/11 world,
right?
But
and I think they do a great job, and it's fascinating. I mean, it does throw me off though when I see Richard Hatch in there, and knowing that he was in the original and a main star. I don't know if you ever heard the story where I was at the BSG panel filming it for New Dia, and he comes up and starts talking to me, and I'm like going, yeah, and I went, oh, hey, yeah. And we were actually doing a podcast at the time, Jay and I, and Jay goes, what? He goes, I just got so caught up in talking to him, I forgot to ask him to be on the show.
So nice.
He goes, yeah, big cry. I go, yeah, this is great. It's a great show. And then I went, oh, well, it's a great show. But I like the original too, and I was just going on and on and on, and I blew it.
I mean, they did what they did so well in that show, and what they did well in the beginning of The Walking Dead too, was to really capture that sense of hopelessness,
right,
that you have when you're fighting an enemy that just doesn't stop pursuing you,
right.
And I mean, the original Battlestar Galactica, they've focused more on like human ingenuity and heroism, and it's like so campy and stuff like that.
Well, it was the 70s. I mean, you had where Apollo goes down and he crashes on something, and some guy's running the town because he has red eye.
Right. And
red eye is a Cylon who's quick draw. And Apollo, but he's wearing an aluminum hat, aluminum cowboy hat, because that's how. In the 70s,
it can't be.
Yeah, but he has a shootout with Red Eye.
Caleb, don't watch the one from the 70s.
Yeah.
Okay.
Watch the reimagined one.
I have done rewatches on it, and I enjoy it. I'm just going to say that.
Yeah.
Especially, Jack, your favorite episode is the Casino Planet, isn't
it? Probably. I don't know. Actually,
Jack, you know how I viewed the original VSG, right? I know that I think the guy who created it was Mormon, and he's trying to infuse like some of the Mormon credo into it, right? But I always viewed the original VSG as just a massive troll of Star Wars.
Yeah, it pretty much was.
Mocking all the people from the barbecue podcast.
Yeah.
So before we completely drive Caleb away with spoilers for about the Battlestar Galactica cast, which we're probably going to start next week, we can do this. This is a transparency. This is about the show thing I'm going to do now live for everyone watching, and ask you guys your opinion about something.
Good.
A behind the scenes thing, and I know you guys love it when I do this. And I mention things. Jack's like, I'm going to cut you off right here. Cairo is the next episode of The Leftovers.
Yes.
Cairo is a 2-episode, is a 2-story kind of thing, right? There's I'm already there. There's like other people's story for a little bit, and then there's Kevin and what's going on with Kevin at the cabin. Do you think the recap would be best split up into, let's talk about all the other people first and then just do Kevin as a chunk, or not, or just keep going the way we're going? I know that's a big wrench, a big stupid wrench. Doesn't matter? Okay.
Yeah, whatever you guys want to do, I don't care. But it'd be easier for me just to write it as we're going along.
All right, let's do it as we're going then. Let's do it that way.
Chronologically.
Unless I can leave out, unless someone else wants to do the Kevin part, I'll leave out the Kevin parts, and we can talk about that at the end. But I think it might be, I don't know.
All right, forget I brought it up. I knew I shouldn't have done it. Let's go on.
I'm a GR today. What do you want?
By the way, Jack, your crackpot theory for this episode was that Jill was gonna kick Aimee out.
Was I right?
No, Amy kicks herself out.
But I think it was because pressure from
Yeah.
Jill, because Jill no longer needed her.
But
in her mind, she said, "I don't need her anymore."
I'm shocked that you didn't
Stop.
think.
Okay.
Bring up what
Okay.
Amy won then.
Caleb, you're going to go to bed tonight, and that's all you're going to think about. God, is Aimee real? Was he right?
No.
By the way,
I can't sleep.
actually, this is important. There was one person who, on this episode, I've got to go back. I think the guy's name was Michael, who said his crackpot theory was that that during the departure, that's when Lori loses her baby, and that's what drove her to the GR.
I think that's what happens, doesn't it?
Yeah, I know, and that's what I'm saying.
But he was way ahead.
Yeah, he said that on this episode. So at 7, and I was like, and he like kind of laid it out, and it's like as I'm listening to it, I was like, oh my god, this guy must have gotten hold of the script.
Yeah, because that was, because I don't remember. Was there any hint of her being pregnant at this point?
No,
I was about to say that's way too early to be calling that.
I know. It was masterful. I was like, we actually have to figure out who this guy was.
But I did. Let me tell you, I'm watching Lost on the Couch on YouTube or whatever. They're doing for the first time or whatever, and a girl on there called Libby being in the mental institution with Hurley. And they're not there yet, like at all. The only scene was when Hurley talked to Libby and she said,
"Is Lost in the Couch an old show?"
What?
It's an old show. It's not like something happening now, is it?
No, it's like a YouTube reaction show, isn't it? Where the guy's
Oh,
watching
yeah,
with his
yeah.
friends.
Oh, okay.
The guy watching it with his friends.
Yeah, like he's watching it with his friends and all his friends.
Do we know if she's not cheating?
No,
Totally.
I mean their reactions, but like the way she put it out, because there's that scene of Hurley and Libby, and he's like, maybe I'll remember where I know you from, and she says, I can't believe you didn't recognize me. You stepped on my foot entering the plane, coming on the plane, but like she kind of hesitated before that, and all it took was that hesitation, and they were all talking about, well, maybe she's a psychiatrist, and maybe they knew she was a psychiatrist, but they were like, maybe she knew Hurley, but then they were in the mental institution together. It was just like crazy the way
there's no way Hurley could have stepped on her foot, because we see the scene where he's trying to get on the plane.
Well,
he's literally the last person to get on the plane.
Well, that's what she says, yeah. So,
no, we've seen it, right? Where we see his flashback where he gets stuck in the elevator. He's there with Charlie. I'm just saying, there's no way he could have stepped on Libby's foot.
Oh my God, Libby was never real either.
No, she's real.
No, she wasn't.
The blankets were fake.
Libby was never real.
None of them were real because they were dead the whole time.
All right, let's move on.
Okay. Thanks.
Anyway, thanks for everyone who joined us in the chat. Thanks, Laura, for answering the question incorrectly, though. You had a 50-50 chance getting it right. Sorry.
We don't know if Laura's real still, so.
We don't. After I said that, she stopped chatting, so maybe it's me that's chatting.
None of this is real.
No. All right, guys, we will be back next week for Mother's Day with
Mother's Day leftover spectacular.
There you go.
Nothing says Mother's Day like an episode of The Leftovers.
Right. You need something cheery. There you go.
It's not. Is it in the next episode? Is it the one with Lori and the baby?
No.
Oh, that would have been really bad to be on Mother's Day. I mean, I guess it don't matter, but whatever.
Lindelof, you probably scheduled it for Mother's Day. All right, guys. We're out of here. Bye.
Bye.